Well, hello everyone. Here, right here, I'm talking about understanding about credit cards here, and I know, in case of anybody's wonders, toward it that how it young is really young enough to get approved for a credit card, and I really don't even know if it would even surprise me if they do say that yeah, that if you have a parent or somebody that that for to get approved for a credit card of some kind, but talk about for credit cards is that one ways of how to look at a credit card other than like a gift card or something like that. If you were able to get approved for a credit card for that reason, and one of those reasons could have been is this toward yeah, it's a family package or something like that, or something like that you were able to treat somebody special or something like that. Free guidance right here or something like that. But I have right here. I'll talk about some examples right here about a credit card right here, and you see this right here that I got right here. This example right here of this credit card right here, and everybody, if we all know for sure about the credit cards, though, that when we do read an understanding about most credit cards, if it's a Visa or if it's a Mastercard or Discover card, something like that, some source of credit card, that that one thing that you would need to keep in mind right here is please read and understand the terms and conditions of the service of the credit card, right? So a lot of times it sure seems that way that yeah, whenever you do get a credit card, the first thing that you would probably see on this credit card is that yeah, once it's activated, and yeah, how much money do you have to work with on that credit card? And so, like, let's just say that the first thing that you might see whenever you do get the credit card is maybe going to be about, what your credit limit, what your spending limit is going to be. And let's just say if it's maybe for, yeah, 400, something like that. And, but let's just say that, yeah, 400. And, after maybe 15 months or something like that, after 15, yeah, so it's like, so every time you do think about that, and you're want to know too that, do you think any 5 year, any 10 or maybe 11-year-old is really going to understand that? That how do you round that up right there? And so it sure seems that way. That whenever you do look at that and think about that, and you're saying is, oh yeah, please read this very carefully right here. 15 months, $400 right here that you got for a spending limit. And people might even want to know too that why does that seem so complicated to figure out? Because about how much money are we talking about per day that we're going to be spending here? And people might say, okay, so that pretty much means that there's $25. Yeah, that means that if you are approved for this credit card, that you have $25 per day, $25 daily to spend on anything that you would like to order, from a catalog or a magazine or something like that. Maybe ordering a pizza or whichever. And so that's why it seems that way, to where if you would actually do the math right here, yes, $25 per day that you're allowed to spend, times, 15 months right here. So if we were to actually do the math right there, and you're worried toward it, does that seem fair? Does that really seem fair, knowing that if you actually did the math right here, yeah, if you would actually buy a box of Girl Scout cookies, or if it is, if you would like to make a donation to a local charity or somewhere like that, that they say is that yeah, sign up for free, and it's like yeah, you start a conversation right here, but people might say that that don't go crazy with this credit card because of the fact that with that credit card because if you don't understand all the terms of rules and all that go by, and like you said that and that's maybe another reason why that people might say is toward it. If you're going to be filling out an application for sure, you want to make sure that you know what type of card it is, because if you did receive a gift card, then they'll tell you that yeah, you can. Some of those rules may not apply to the gift cards, but for the credit cards though, and like you said, that any sorts of credit card that you do have, because you say interest and all that adds up, but still, what's one important thing to keep in mind about having a credit card? And people might say, well, really, that it is about how much that you have to spend on that credit card. But people might even say too that yeah, and I know some credit card companies would even tell you too that yeah, your PIN number, the PIN that you're supposed to use right here, and so it's like yeah, the PIN number that you would need to use, and so you would come up with a certain character PIN right here, and people might even want to know too that so yeah, some credit cards do require you to have a PIN, and some of them do not. But still, that don't go crazy with it right here. And in case of anybody's want to know too, that yeah, what exactly does that mean right there? And I can maybe put on here that yeah, if you want to kind of like, and yeah, don't go crazy with it. Mean by that. You don't want to, yeah, you don't want to overdo it. And let's just say if you do get approved for a credit card, and so everybody's maybe 102 that, yeah, that if you want to go ahead and for sure that you want to put that somewhere, make that in yellow or something like that. It's like you want to keep a copy right here of Don't Go Crazy with It. And people might say that, yeah, just to kind of keep that reminder is toward, yeah, don't go crazy with it. So what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that please read the details on the credit card because, we don't need to have it. Yeah, put it like right here. And in case of anybody's wondering, if you were to make the writing right here in like a little darker color, you make that a little lighter and then darker, and maybe that's another reason why some companies find that to be pretty relevant. Just because that there's a message right here. There's a message right here, kind of like a void, to where they tell you that keep that in mind. I'm like, yeah, a lot of printing companies would probably tell you too that this is how they print this right here, to where that this right here was supposed to be like a receipt or something like that. This right here is supposed to be your copy, your receipt right here of this credit card. But just to keep in mind is to where that yeah, you go ahead and put don't go crazy with it right here, and like I say is to where, oh, okay, yeah, that so if you were to receive a receipt of any kind, if you were to get a copy of any source of transaction, then this will be like a little, if you want to kind of call it the backdrop of some kind of, like a lot of printing companies would say that this is how they print off the receipts right here, to where they would have a big print right here to where they don't go crazy with it, to where it's kind of faded out to where you can't really read it very well, and then they would have it to where that you would be able to read this part right here, but they would have that like in printed right here. And so people may want to know too that, yeah, don't go crazy with this. But still, that once activated, then that's your money that you can spend for whatever that you need it for. And, people may want to know too that, yeah, that. So how many of us really even think there's to where that whenever you do think about money, though, with a credit card, that if that's a way of how you learned about how to print money, maybe about a little bit about one of those games, the Monopoly game or something like that. Whatever goes around comes around, or something like that. Because whenever I do the math, a lot of times it sure seems that way. To where that whenever we do think about credit cards, though, it goes by a time kind of to where that, yeah, once you do spend money, though, you don't actually spend it. Whenever you do any sorts of money investments, right, you don't actually spend that money. It actually goes around. And then I guess this is a way of how to put it, to where it goes around by time. So whenever you pay for something with the credit card, it goes by a timeline, right? It goes by a timeline to where that money is actually going by a timeline, to where a little bit like a clock, to where that yeah, that money is going to be credited back to your account, and this is how it works right here. So it's got to go around like a timeline, just before, So yeah, so another way of how to explain it is by saying is toward yeah, so once you do spend money on there, and let's just say if you make your payments on time, and then maybe if you give it enough time to process and everything, just to read and verify the information clearly, that this is what it's doing right here. And people might even say is toward it, yeah, that sounds pretty confusing and pretty aggravating about how that works. But everybody might say that, well, really, that so your money, the money that you spend, right, is going around just like that right there. So whenever it comes to using your credit card, and by the time that you give it time to process and give it time to be scanned into the software, the software used just to read it and verify the information, so it's kind of going around, well, just like that right there. And people may want to know too that so that's about maybe 40 days, maybe 30 days, something like that, maybe 65 days before it goes completely around, and then it's credited to your account, right? And so people might say that, yeah, now or later, because whenever you do spend money, that you're thinking about the money that you have available that you can spend now. So people might say, yeah, so this is how I actually want it to work. Whenever I spend money right here, that I would think that it works just like that right there. Yeah, it works just like that right there. But like on a daily basis, though, that people may want to know too, that if you got a lot going on, especially that you may think that, okay, yeah, it's supposed to work like that. But still, that when we're talking about the processing and everything, and you say, yeah, well, it's kind of going by slow, like this right here. So hour by hour, that your money is going by a timeline. It's going by a timeline, and people might even think too that it's going by a slow timeline, but still that the point about having a credit card, though, and people might even tell you that here's the thing: you don't have to worry about counting the money each and every time. And let's just say if you're trying to take care of something real important, then that money on that credit card, yeah, you'll be able to pay, take care of the bill with the credit card. But just think about that, is to where, with this credit card, though, that interest does add up and everything, but still, you just think about that, to where if you were to please read this carefully about what's going on with your credit card, how much money that was spent, and how much you had to work with, and set a goal to where that on a plan to where that how much did you plan on spending on a daily basis, and how much in payments, but still. So if you were to actually think about that, and you were to know too that you weren't to where that, oh, okay, yeah, that so if all you have to do really is just read all this carefully, yeah, read all this information right here very carefully, please read this carefully right here, so you would get a bill that would say that yeah, careful, please read this carefully right here, yeah, in all capital letters right here. And if you want to go ahead and put yeah, please read this carefully in all capital letters right here. And so it sure seems that way, that yeah, that when we talk about please read this carefully right here, and people may want to know too that I really only read it once. I don't need to read it maybe 5 times, and in case if anybody's wondering, to where if it's been about maybe a year since you were approved, it would be a good idea to read it at least just once, or maybe 5 times, maybe after a full year, after you've been approved, right? But anyway, but talk about that, and then talk about understanding about conversations right here. But talk about, say, for a credit card, is like, don't go crazy with it right here. But anyway, I thought I'd talk about that, and thanks for watching, everyone.